world that a lot of people live in that I want nothing to do with. It's so weird to me. And not only that, something that I've asked myself often is, who could I be if I got the fuck out of my own way and allowed greatness to happen? You know, this isn't weird. Hey, I don't like the way you said, like, what are you doing? No, I don't want to do that right now. So I'm trying to make it do, like, you know,
it's not going to be as if everything just happens at once, or just because things are going the wrong way, everything's going to go to shit, you know?
Okay, so you're giving some sort of room for...
Anything can happen.
That's what you're doing.
A lot of things could happen, I would say.
You're trying to give some room for optimism.
Yes.
I have a friend like that, if you want to throw those on, Cindy, those are for you. I have a friend that's sort of like that, that's pretty... He's much more optimistic in life in general than I am. I was just having this conversation with his brother actually yesterday, because what I say is I don't believe him. Like I don't see where the optimism really lies, but I hope he's right. Because I'm not an optimist. Like in a general sense, when it comes to people and people like making decisions and getting smarter and being more productive and finding some grounding in life, I don't see that taking place.
Mostly, I don't see people like, I don't know, like everyone is focused on a lot of tribalism and they're not coming together. That's something I don't have a lot of optimism for, at least right now. It's like people feeling unified in some way. Everyone is very divided in a million different directions, and I don't think that's changing anytime soon, honestly. I don't have optimism for that.
Cindy, are you optimistic at all about any of these things we're talking about? Do you even, or you just stay in your own lane?
Yeah, I try to.
Okay.
I mean, I am pretty pessimistic about most things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get pretty scared when Will tells me about the stuff that's like
going on
in the world. I'm like, Will, please don't tell me.
Cindy's somewhere chilling, so and then Will comes along. Did you fucking hear about this shit?
Yeah, no, that is actually exactly how it goes. That is exactly how it goes. She'll just be like sitting there in her room, and I'll come by like, "Yo, did you hear? You know what happened in China? Or look what's happening in Pakistan? Or all this shit."
All right. So when it comes to tribalism, do you mean worldwide, or do you just mean mostly in America? Or
in America, with that comment, definitely America. I mean, and Western society. So that would be most of Western Europe, America, Japan, and North America.
All right, I'm going to introduce this. Welcome to the Any Last Words pod. My name is Earl Lonnie Hooks. A very, very special thanks to everybody that will be joining us today on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple, as well as YouTube. And please do not forget to follow us at ALW Pod on Instagram. The God of me honors the God in each and every one of you. Will and Cindy are here today. One, I'm really surprised that either of you even agreed to do this shit, especially you.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. What do you mean? What?
I feel like he would be so happy to like just spew out what he has to say. He always has something on his mind.
I don't know.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. There's a lot of information in his head, but that doesn't always mean that the person's ready to talk about it, though.
That's
sometimes,
true.
Yeah. Like, Will, as far as I'm concerned, has been someone that likes to talk about it in
the proper setting,
in a controlled environment.
Yeah, I would say so.
I mean, I guess this is a controlled environment, so maybe that's why you're okay being here.
I would say so. Yeah, I've never been on a podcast before, though.
Me neither.
And then you, I guess, you're kind of a wild card. I wouldn't know what you would do.
I mean, it depends. It really depends.
No, there would be some dinner nights, actually, where I was just, and I think based off of the dinner nights and you guys being in your own quadrant of the house, I thought, there's no way she would do the podcast.
Honestly, that was because of circumstances.
That
was because of the house.
Yes.
That was because of the house.
Yes, that was a different time.
Yeah.
I forget about
different
that.
People, different time.
Yeah, very much. Maybe we'll get around to some of that. Okay, so talk to me about what are you afraid of in America? and in the Western society when it comes to tribalism in particular?
Well, I mean, that kind of problem is kind of inherent to the type of society that America has. We're a melting pot. We're never going to be like a country like Nazi Germany was going for.
Like a homogenous.
Yes, a homogenous society that, everybody shares the same values. They look the same, all that kind of thing. That has its benefits, but obviously
it's just not going to happen.
It's not going to happen, and it's also, it's not like that's not like the right choice either. So I think that every single society has its pros and cons. Unfortunately, we're in America, which its con is we are not very united, and it kind of started out like that, honestly.
In the United States.
Yeah, no, we are not very united, and it's kind of scary when a society that's kind of like at the forefront of the world and has the reins on a lot of things like economics and things like that. Like we don't know where we're going, and I don't know. We're influenced by a lot of things that are not good for our society. That's for sure.
Like what?
Or our own government, for one, and then governments around the world. And I don't like China. they be influencing us. And
I don't like China. What you don't like the China?
I'll put it this way: I think that there's multiple groups or entities that definitely want to keep people divided. And if you're divided and busy squabbling amongst each other, you can't look at the real enemy.
Yeah.
And that is multiple.
Or just the bigger picture in general.
Or the bigger picture in general, yeah. Not just your enemy, but yeah, what's going on in general, what you should do personally or on a society level.
And so we were just talking about Twitter a little bit. So this is kind of, it's a little bit of that. I'm not one of these complete social media haters. Like I'm not that person, but because it's brought us a lot of beauty and a lot of connectivity and a lot of jobs and a lot of opportunities and information, all sorts of shit like that. What I will say is, as I was having a conversation with a friend yesterday, I don't know how the fuck these children are growing up today. Like, I don't know. There's so much information. It's coming from so many different directions. And as you were saying, being pulled in so many different directions, like there's no grounding. So like, you don't know who you are. You don't know who we are. You don't know like what's worth aiming for. You don't know shit from shit pretty much. Yeah. And so you're just in a whirlwind of information and technology. And you're that from the time you get a phone or a tablet, which is probably 4 or 5 years old.
And your parents are throwing you into that jungle, basically, and they're kind of just leaving you there.
And it's weird because as those parents, they probably want their kids to have those pieces of technology because that's the way the world's going. So they want you to be integrated with it and understand what's going on and not just be like the weird kid on the playground that doesn't know where the phone is. So it's just like, it's a weird thing, but I just, you talking about just not being able to know who the real enemy is. And I say the bigger picture. I think a lot of times those are one and the same. Yeah. Right? Like what the real enemy is. And I think a lot of what the real enemy is the fact that no one knows
disinformation.
Like what the fuck is going on. And again, just they're not rooted in anything real.
Well, no one's, I think it all starts with education and how education is under attack. And if you have a populace that is not educated, like you guys are screwed, and that's it. You're screwed.
You just think, just as the future goes
on,
those people are going to be adults someday, and they're going to be running stuff, and they had no education,
or they may not be running things, but they're going to be easily swayed by people who are running things, who are still educated, and they're not going to be educated enough to make proper decisions. And we see that today. Everyone is reciting mantra that they hear. They don't actually sit there and think about, okay, what do I actually think about this? Like, is my opinion the same as everybody else's, or do I have a slightly differing one? Or do I need to sign up for, this camp or this camp? Do I need to really identify into these groups, or do I fall somewhere in between? No one wants to fall somewhere in between because they're like, oh, I've been told no one's really like that. You're either here or you're here. You're far left or you're far right. And it's like...
we've had a lot of those conversations. That's always been weird for me. I simply can't even look at things that way. Like my mind isn't even built that way. No. like I can't see things in black and white because nothing is. Like there's so many details and nuances to so many things that for whatever it is, whether we're talking about politics or we're talking about religion or we're just talking about just a slew of morals and ethics across the board in any aspect of life, I just don't see how any. I've heard a good argument for just about any argument that there is on either side, in the middle. A little bit over this way, a little bit over that way. If you're not
willing to compromise and you're, completely on one side and you're not willing to hear anything else that deviates from that narrative, you're going to end up, contradicting yourself. You're going to have, times where someone completely shows that you're wrong and you're not going to be willing to accept that. Like, if you're shown that you're wrong, like, that is a blessing and you should be like, okay, I can learn. Now I know the right answer. Like, and that's what everyone's obsessed with now, is being, the most self-righteous. So why don't you go after that? Like, actually go after that. Like, search for the right answer instead of what you've been told is the right answer. And then judging everybody else because they don't subscribe to that. It's just, I don't know.
When you hang out with your friend Cindy, well, I don't know how many of these people there are out there, but when you hang out with friends, does it seem echo chamberish? Does it seem like a lot of those people have a lot of the same? I mean, I know we hang around friends, and a lot of the time it's because we have a lot of those similarities and a lot of those backgrounds that connect us. But does it seem like anyone ever deviates from what everyone else is saying, or is it usually like, oh yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, totally.
It's usually like the same opinions, Like I have different friend groups.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't like intermingle like some friend groups with like other people, and people have different opinions sometimes, but usually we always agree on things. I usually try to stick with people that have the same mindset as I do. So
yeah, you don't. Okay, so is it because do you not like confrontation? Do you not like arguments?
Not really.
Yeah, not for you.
Like I don't know. Like I'm really like a hard-headed, so it's really hard to change my mind. So like if you try to like teach me something, I feel kind of like it makes me feel a little bit dumb.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay. Do you feel under attack when people?
Yeah, usually.
That might be.
I'm not gonna lie.
Do you think that's? I mean, because it could be both of these. Do you think it's more of a you thing, or do you think that the people that are trying to have that conversation with you are kind of overbearing and like they're clearly trying to get you to think what they think?
I think it's 50-50.
Okay.
Because like I said, like I'm really hard-headed, so sometimes it's like a me problem where I'm like, oh, I just can't listen to this. I can't be wrong. But other times I'm like, okay, I guess I can see that, but I still have my opinion and I'm still set on that. Yeah.
Does it scare you to be wrong?
I wouldn't say scares me, but it just feels like it makes me feel like I'm, I don't know, like I'm not smart. Like I just feel dumb if I don't know the right answer, or like if I don't agree with something, I just feel like, oh, well, I guess I've been wrong this whole time.
I guess I'm just uneducated, or I'm stupid, I'm inadequate.
Yeah, and I hate feeling that way. I hate feeling like I'm the one that's in the wrong, so.
So how do you guys have those conversations then? Because you over here trying to, because you're over here clearly trying to get to the root of shit. She's like, motherfucker, I don't want to hear this. Stop talking to me about it.
Because he's more like, he wants to get deep into conversation and like figure things out and like.
I want to figure out if I'm wrong too. Yeah. Like I want to, like if I'm starting off a conversation and I'm at that moment, I don't think I'm wrong. I'm still open to be like, okay, like I may be. But let's find out. Like, let's see both people's perspectives, and like, I'm still obviously going to be biased, but I would like to consider both ends, and then it's probably somewhere in the middle.
Okay, but you're open to it.
Yes.
Okay, and it probably takes a certain type of person, because already if you're starting there, it probably takes like quite a rational, logical, well-spoken person to even bring you closer. Because like there's no way that someone that has good intentions but isn't very well spoken and hasn't really thought through their ideas very much coming to you with a conversation. There's no way that they're
I'm not gonna lie.
you.
Sometimes I don't think through my ideas very much.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I may have the best intentions, but I definitely will go off of emotion as well, and then realize afterwards. But
that you blew up on somebody.
Not even just blowing up, but just like having an opinion that's solely based on how I feel instead of assessing the situation, taking a step back, all that. But I try to.
Well, I mean, that's good. A lot of people don't even know that that's why they make decisions based off of their emotions. A lot of people think that they're hyper rational.
I think having the full picture is very important. Just,
Yes. So full picture being putting your ethos, pathos, logos, like all that sort of stuff together.
Like, why are these things happening? Is it, can it be controlled on my end? Can it be controlled on the other person's end? And if your answer is black and white in any way, it's wrong. Yeah. If you decide that person is just wrong, you're usually incorrect. Wrong. You're usually incorrect. It's somewhere in the middle for sure. And that honestly goes with a lot of things, like
everything.
Everything. Life is honestly just a balance.
There's no way.
You can go into that a lot of ways.
I was having this conversation with Aunt Maria actually recently that one of the things that I found that I really love about myself is like I think that I take a lot of time to think things through. Like I really do. And even though I do that, I still go into situations super open mind, and I'll hear people out and I'll just say, okay, well maybe like let's say I am wrong. Like let's just say I am, and let's run that simulation through. Let's just do that. And the most recent one, so that I'll put a marker there. Let me ask you all, how was your holiday season?
It's been quiet. It's been quiet, but it's good.
Why is it quiet?
I mean, it's not like a shit ton of family is over or anything, and we're like going to parties, but just having a dinner.
But you don't even enjoy that anyway, right? Like,
I mean, no,
as far as like family coming together and like.
I mean, when I was young, I did, but like not so much.
When did you grow out of that?
Shit, I can't even remember like when the last time I had like a lot of family over. Definitely like when I was. Sometime around 5th grade or so.
You've been over with this shit for a long time.
I mean, it just wasn't happening after that, It just wasn't. It wasn't really my choice. Christmas, a little smaller scale after that.
Yeah. Okay. And Cindy, yours?
It was good. It was just with Will, my close family, and we usually have like bigger parties, like all my aunts, uncles, cousins come over. But for the past few years, it's just been like just my mom, dad.
They knew I was over, so they're staying away from me.
Nah, do they? I was going to say
they like me.
You?
No,
okay, good.
Yeah, they like me.
You all get along, the family. I mean, I'm certain that there's small things in there, or maybe possibly big things.
I don't think I've ever had like any sort of confrontation with like your family.
No, I mean like within your family, like when you all get together, like everything's cool, everyone's having a great time.
We like to pretend to, yeah. There's like little things that have happened, but when we're together, we just push that aside and we just love each other as much as we can.
Okay.
When the holidays come around or anything that's family related.
Yeah. Okay. And how often is that? Do you guys come together for Christmas? You guys do Easter?
We tried for Christmas.
I know y'all getting together Martin Luther King Day.
Oh, definitely.
That's the most celebration.
For sure, 1,000%. No, okay, so Christmas.
Yeah, Christmas, Thanksgiving, like the general holidays and stuff. But
they're always together, honestly.
Birthdays.
Like, her family's always around, so.
Yeah, they're always at the house.
Okay.
There's always somebody over.
You're talking about the cousins, just everyone?
Yeah, like my uncle's always over. He'll bring his kids and my aunts and uncles.
They live like a county away, so it's like...
So we're all pretty like,
We like to pretend that we do.
Yeah.
So this kind of goes into what it was. This is where my marker is that I set down. I can't get with that shit.
Family stuff?
Fuck, man.
Why?
Yo, here's the thing. You all know of a game, Apples to Apples?
Yeah.
I do.
Awesome. All right, I'm just going to explain it for the people listening in case they don't know. So there are red cards, which everyone is giving out, right? And then there are these green cards, which is going to be the like main adjective that is set in the middle of the table or floor.
It's like a PG version of that one
of
game,
Cards Against Humanity.
Cards Against Humanity, yeah.
So you have to look in your deck and try to match whatever the green card is. Match whatever cards you have to, which are nouns, to the adjective in the center of the floor for everyone. Now, in our family, I don't know how you guys have played. We make cases for the cards that we put down, meaning there's a bunch of screaming matches, and it's like, are you really sure? Like, you really don't think that this one matches that one? Like, you really, like, we really get into it. Like, it's a debate.
You want to win.
You're trying to win, and it makes it, you know, it gives flavor to it.
Monopoly gets like that.
Yeah, oh, that's yours? Monopoly?
Ours, yeah.
Okay. I've seen people play Uno like that. Some people are like,
dude, people go in.
Tears.
Yeah, it gets
Screaming and crying. Yeah.
Okay, so in this game of Uno, one of the green cards that was set down was favorite. So, again, we're all supposed to try to put down a card that matches favorite. Now, there's like 3 or 4 cards that are always throwaway cards, like people are putting bullshit down. We're like, all right, let's get that out the way. And then the last couple that are there are Lego blocks. That was mine. It was a throwaway card too. I didn't have anything better. It was a bad one. Music, which already is pretty high up on people's priority list when it comes to favorite
What
things.
are the adjectives for? It's favorites, you said.
Favorite.
Okay.
Yeah, favorite.
Like a favorite. Okay, kind of.
Right. And then the last one put down was brothers. Now, keep in mind, this round, my brother was the judge.
He's not going to pick brothers.
Absolutely not.
He's not going to pick brothers.
Music won that round.
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind that I probably would have picked the same thing. Next round, the green card is friendly. Bunch of bullshit thrown out there. Then I put out Girl Scouts, pretty fucking friendly. And then the last one was sisters. Now, keep in mind, the judge of this one was a cousin of mine. The person who threw out sisters was her little sister. Girl Scouts won that round.
I saw that coming. Yeah.
Next round. Oh, let's continue. Next round.
It's like, fuck you guys.
There's someone else that is the judge. The card that was put down was something like fun-loving. Fun or fun-loving. It was something of that iteration. I put down card games. I thought that was clever.
What we're doing right now.
Yeah, I was like, exactly, card games. Look, we're having fun, right?
I love you guys.
I should win.
Yeah.
But then the next one was family that someone put down. Now, keep in mind, this is the reason why I set this up this way. In this game, no one ever makes a case for anyone else's cards. That'd be stupid. You want to win, so you don't make a case for someone else's card.
I see where this is going.
The third card got set down, and it was friends. And everyone looked down and was like, yeah, I get it. Don't even worry about it. Well, I don't have to win this round. Like, I get it. Go ahead, pick that one. And of course, everyone unanimously picked that card.
It's like shitting on their family right in front of them, yeah.
But we're all here together.
Yeah.
Christmas time.
So it's like, do you guys really enjoy this right now? Or
brothers lost out the music, sisters lost out the Girl Scouts, and family lost out the friends.
Yeah.
And so that's just just an avenue to open this conversation up. When I say I don't do it, my thing is this: I try to remain as honest as I possibly can at all moments in time. The same way that I think it's terrifying for someone to maybe feel like they're wrong, right? Have to look a demon in the face, one of their own demons, some shit that they got going on, some trauma, whatever the case is, an argument that they have, some shit that was swept up under the rug between them and another family member that no one has talked about for years, or whatever the case is. However difficult it is for people to get into that mind space to try to tackle that head on, which we know is pretty difficult for most people to do. I feel the same way about doing the weird pretend fake shit. Like it's almost that difficult for me to be in that space. Like, I don't want to sit here
Makes my skin crawl
and act like we're cool. Just imagine if we just started talking like, what are we? We're about 25 minutes into this podcast. If something went left and we all just started saying wildly, inappropriately, just disrespectful things to one another.
It could still go that way.
Like it just, of course, there's always a chance. And we just start talking crazy shit to one another. And then y'all leave, y'all walk out. Yo, man, like, fuck this fucking dude,
we
man.
text you after, yo, good time.
Or be like, yo, you trying to hang out tomorrow? Like, you trying to go fucking laser tagging?
Like, you're confusing me. You're confusing me.
Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, it's a weird pretend world that a lot of people live in that I want nothing to do with. It's so weird to me. And not only that, something that I've asked myself often is, who could I be if I got the fuck out of my own way and allowed greatness to happen? Like, if I didn't stop myself from progressing in life and growing in life, if I didn't stop myself from doing, then who would I become? Just how good could this character get? I have a lot of life left. Like, how good could I get? That's a question I ask myself. Not a lot of people ask themselves that question, but it's a question to ask yourself. I think about that with my relationships with people. Like, how good could this relationship get? And if the other person's not on that wavelength, then we'll never fucking find out, because you're not willing to do the things that it takes for that to take place. Yeah. And a lot of that is having to sit down in front of someone and have a difficult conversation. But a lot of times, like right after, I've experienced it so many times, you have a very, very difficult conversation.
Feels a million times
Oh better. My God.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like everything's out on the table. Even if there's still a disagreement, you understand each other. Yeah. The disagreement isn't shit. We can disagree all day. That's fine. See, what I can't handle is like not knowing, how like if another person, like in a relationship, if I don't know how they feel, I go insane.
What is insane? Like, do you close up, or do you like try to pry and get the information out?
I try to pry and get the information out, and I think that I also, I don't know, I just get very stressed. I get but I think that just definitely goes back to like, you're not really either willing to have those, to do those things, to have that sort of relationship and have those conversations or other things like that, or you are. And, those things happen. But they usually turn out good.
Listen.
If you trust in the process and you just kind of like make that leap and start talking to people, then it definitely usually turns out good. Because I feel like most people aren't going to completely shit on your opinion like that. If they're in a relationship with you, they're not going to be like, no, fuck you and how you think. Like, I'm not, like... fuck that.
You're a fucking idiot. Everything you say is stupid.
Yeah, you should have never said that. Like, I don't think
that's a wild thing to say. Yeah, you should have never expressed yourself to me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think that's definitely what some people are afraid of. Is like, what are these people? How are they going to react when I share these feelings? But I don't know. It's just do it.
Yeah. I think a lot of times, we cook up these wild narratives just as such that like there's going to be a hard cutoff, like a hard recommendation.
And if there is a hard cutoff, then you know that.
You still know now. Okay, cool. That's a hard cutoff. That means that you and I can't even have these types of conversations. Yeah. At least now I know that for sure.
Then you shouldn't want to after. Right. You shouldn't want to, and you don't need to. Like. Now you just gained a whole lot of information either way.
So that is the sort of holiday spirit I'm talking about. That's kind of like where I've been settling in. I've been thinking about it a whole lot. And what comes even more with that is this whole new level of agency that I'm taking in my life, where there's like a very unique, well, I won't say unique, but for me, most of the battle that I've gone through in life has been, should I live the way that I know I need to live in order to flourish, or should I just appease these other people and just get with the program and do what it is they say to do? Show up at the places, take the pictures, blow out the fucking cake, dance, play the board games, and just shut my fucking mouth. Or should I live my life for me, since it's my life?
Is it selfish or is it not?
And is selfish what I ever thought selfish was? Or did I always just put this negative connotation on selfish because
Serving
that's
yourself,
what other
yeah.
people did?
Yeah. You have to be self-serving sometimes. You know, you are living this life, and you're not really going to be able to serve others if you fucking hate your own life.
It doesn't work out that way.
It doesn't.
It doesn't work out that way at all. And so now, again, this new level of agency is like, oh, wait. I know that this isn't an option that a lot of people either have access to or pick if they do have access to, but I actually don't have to live for other people. I actually do not have to live up to other people's expectations of who it is they think I ought to be in their life. And who it is I think, they think I ought to be and how I ought to function in order for them to feel fulfilled. That is a them problem. And I have to be okay with acknowledging that it is a them problem and that it's not up to me to save anyone or to bring anyone along with me on the journey, because you fucking can't anyway. You can't. You can live in your truth. You can speak, your experience, have your conversations. When I say your truth, I've talked about that before. When I say that, I don't mean it in a sense of I just get to have my own understanding of what the world is completely extracted from what other people think. I just mean speaking on your experience. That's what I mean. Yeah, so it's a fascinating revelation to come across, and it's a fascinating option to pick. Oh, I actually don't have to do this thing. Other people feeling sadness because you don't live a life that they want you to live has no bearing on, or ought not have no bearing on the way that you decide to go and live your life. And so that's been it's been another wave of that lesson this holiday season. It's just so, as you said, skin crawling. It's just so weird.
There's something that reminds me of. I was actually talking to somebody about this last night. That really applies to somebody, let's say they have, like, this is an extreme example, but borderline sociopathic narcissist, right? You can't fix them. You can't, like, no matter how hard you try to, do better or have them do better. Like, let's say you're past the stage of blaming yourself and it's their problem, but you still want to help them. Or you feel it's your responsibility to help them because of their title in your life. Maybe they're a grandfather or a father, or maybe they're your kid. Like, right. They could be your own kid. So, you may feel responsible in some way, and you have some sort of responsibility. But honestly, at a certain point, when you find out that it's like, okay, like, this person has an illness, even though, yes, it's their illness and they are struggling with that, it is not your responsibility to struggle along with them. You're not going to be able to fix them. Like, you can't forfeit your own life and happiness just because they happen to have a mental illness. Like, that wasn't your fault. Maybe it's not their fault either, but
right,
that's unfortunate.
Yeah, some things in life come down to, man, that's unfortunate.
That's fucking unfortunate, but it's not going to be as unfortunate for me. That's it. And I have that. I have that choice. You do have that choice. Yeah. No, it's that's very weird. Do you have any of these of what we're talking? Because I know we're getting deep, and we clearly have specific people in our minds.
Yeah, I do too. But I mean, in my opinion, I feel like if you love them, you would help them with any kind of struggle that they have, especially when it comes to, like, family members. I don't know. Like, it really doesn't matter what they do or say to me. Like, regardless, I'm going to do anything that I can to.
And we've talked about this before as well.
People that I love, yeah.
I'm certain of it. Yeah. So for you, when you say family, you mean share the same bloodline, or you mean?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have, like, a pick of new family as you get older and you meet new people? Are there people outside that don't share your last name or your bloodline that you consider family? No.
I used to. Yeah, I used to. But, I mean, things happen, and
You had to cut them off.
Yeah.
Okay, so you did have family. So you had what you felt like were family members outside the family. Something happened or some things happened.
Yeah.
And then you did decide to cut them off. So they weren't as family as your family.
I mean, I would consider them family, yeah, still to this day. Like, even though...
But you wouldn't cut off the people...
Confusing situation.
But you wouldn't cut off the people in your bloodline.
No, definitely not. No. Unless it was, like, something that was, like, I cannot move past, then, yeah, I would definitely cut them off. But if it's blood and, you know, they hurt me, then that's temporary.
I
can always recover from that.
I can agree with that. If it's something that, even if it's an extreme case, like I've been very, extremely hurt by this family member, if it is something that, is somewhat understandable, then, and, I can still look at you as my family member, then okay.
And I guess that's okay. And that's where a lot of the cutoff is like, what are these extremes? Like, what are these things that these people have to do in order for you to be like, yeah, no, I'm actually...
And there's not one answer,
Yeah, of course. And I'm certain that there are many layers to those answers as well. Like, in what set of circumstances does this thing take place or whatever the case is. Yeah.
It could be very extreme, or it could be, a lot less extreme than some people's cases that they have experienced. But I think there is definitely a spectrum of acceptable times to kind of cut people off, even if they're your family. It's like, I'm sorry, but you obviously do not have the best intentions for me. You don't wish the best for me, and you don't treat me as family. You're not my family anymore. You have forfeited your title and your right.
You're forfeited.
That is it. That's it.
Or no, I have revoked that.
Like you don't just give it. Like you don't just have it and that's it. Like people earn respect. Like you don't just have respect because of who you are.
And you sustain respect.
You sustain it. Yeah. You can lose it as well after you've gained it. So like you can make different decisions throughout your life. You better make the right ones. Yeah. Like that's just kind of it. And
see, so for me, speaking on what you're saying, like never cutting them off, like if the family, loving them, so no matter what, if it's in your power, I think that's a lot of what the conversation is what is within your power to fix this person, and then what is just a waste of energy because whatever it is you're doing ultimately is not going to do anything. So it's about trying to decipher between those things, and I think that can be iffy. All these people in my mind that I'm talking about as I speak about this, I don't know if I would ever say that I would not love them or that there wouldn't be a place for us to have a conversation if the conversation came with good intention and they were really ready to have the conversation, whatever the conversation may be. But there also, I do truly believe in loving from afar. I definitely believe in loving and supporting from afar, in knowing that when things are not serving you or they're toxic, distancing yourself so that you are not just needlessly poisoned. I think that that's also a conversation to be had. And there's, a spectrum in that as well. People find themselves in very long relationships with people, like intimate, romantic relationships. And we've seen this story play out a million times where someone feels like the relationship isn't serving them, or maybe it's abusive for some reason, in whatever abusive type of way. And people stick around for far longer than they ought to.
Yeah.
Far longer,
and afraid to
the logos behind it is I love them. I need to support them and help them through what it is they're going through.
You don't want to feel like you quit before you gave it your all. You don't want to feel like you could have done something, afterwards and been like, I didn't give this my full effort. They could have gotten better if I had just done this, if I had just done that. And
so that's another thread is, when is enough? What is my full effort? Or is it just like, nope, I'm not dead yet. I still have to try. Like, is it like, when do you get depleted? Like, at what point? Now, maybe that's a personal question for every individual to ask themselves. When am I about to be used up completely? Yeah. And if I don't feel that yet, then do I still have some juice? Like, should I still be going in this direction, or should I even be waiting to the point where I'm withered and dried up?
I think that there's a few things that you can look for, like, to see if it is really worth it. Like, are they ever receptive to any sort of, talking of, like, about the problems? Are they ever receptive to your point of view? And if they are, maybe sometimes, like, you should probably stick around a little longer. You should probably stick it out. Try to, at the very least.
Yeah.
But, like, the example I used earlier with, like, a borderline sociopathic narcissist, like, they are incapable of understanding from your point of view. They have no empathy. They only understand things from how they think about it. They're only ever thinking about themselves. Like, you can never get past that, like, disconnect with them. So, like, no matter how hard you try, no matter how long you stick it out, there is nothing you will ever be able to do. And some people still stick it out because it's like, okay, maybe I'll never be able to do anything, but I'll live my life still trying at this because it's just the principle of it. Like, I'm gonna do this always. I'm never gonna quit at, trying to help this person. I'm never gonna quit at being in their life. I'm, gonna prove that to myself. And it's because they don't, like, that's admirable. Like, they don't want to feel like they gave up. That's awesome. But at the same time, like, it's not giving up. Like, at that point, in that specific scenario, it's not giving up. Like,
and so is that the sort of strength that you feel like you hold, is I'm just gonna stick it out, like, regardless of whatever's going on, I'm just gonna be here.
Usually, like, I mean, I can always feel like, oh, this is not something that I want to put up with forever, but it just, you have to, especially when you, like, love somebody. Especially,
well, I'll tell you what, you guys seem like you're gonna stick around for a while with each other.
Yeah,
yeah. That's what everything that you guys are saying pretty much sounds like. Yeah, I mean, it's
been 2 years so far.
2?
On to 3, yeah.
You said almost 3, or on to
3?
Yeah.
On to 3.
Yeah, we're on the 3rd year now, I guess.
Okay,
running.
What has been is this been the most difficult thing? Is like trying to figure out if the other person is being receptive or not? Because you told me you're just like, yo, fuck this shit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to hear it. And you're constantly trying to talk about it.
Yeah.
I can tell whether or not
You're trying to pry information out.
Yes.
We know that now. So has communication been, I mean, I'm certain, again, it's been something that you all have been sharpening and honing in on as the time has gone past. But you guys are definitely very different in that regard.
Oh, yeah.
So,
For sure.
So I guess I should just ask the clean question of what has been the biggest hump to get over?
Probably what you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Communication, really. Because, like, it was great to begin with. Like, when we first met, like, we would talk everything out. And, like, we would sit down with each other and, like, literally talk for, like, an hour or two and just figure things out. And then after, we would feel literally perfect. Like, this is the honeymoon phase. It's never going to end. But, like, now that we've been together for longer, now that we moved in together, and there's just a lot
There's a little tension.
There's
a little tension.
A lot of...
I would say that I never have to wonder, though, if I am, like, I know whether or not, like, it's, there's receptiveness.
Yeah.
So maybe sometimes I push too hard, but I would say that I'm never, like, sitting there like, well, is she or is she not being receptive?
And it's not like I don't want to talk about things. Like, it really just depends on timing.
Yeah.
What kind of mood I'm in, where I'm at, what my day has been like.
Okay.
Because, like, if I had, like, a fine day and, he wants to talk about something, then it's fine. But if I'm tired, I did some stuff during the day, I went to work.
That's definitely something I need to work on.
Or it's just, like, the wrong place to have a conversation.
I just, like, if I have something on my mind, I'm like, I need to explore it. I need to get it out. Yeah. I need to, like, get all into the intricacies of, I'm all in for the conversation, like, right then and now. But
right.
I have to understand that is not how things work all the time, and
Okay, well,
I feel like I can definitely be a little abrasive.
Abrasive is a good. Assertive, abrasively assertive.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean that's not. I mean I feel like that's
not like with my opinions and like how I present them.
Right.
Just more like, let's get into this.
Like trying to get her to.
Yeah, like, come on, talk to me about it. Like, let's,
He wants to figure things out.
I want to figure it out. I want to figure it out.
Yeah.
Where it's
figure it out.
You know.
Yeah.
You may need some time. And I also think that maybe, do you need more time to process situations?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I process shit on the fly.
Like, I need to think about things. Like, sometimes I just push it back to the back of my mind and I don't even want to think about it because it stresses me out.
So when she comes to me with things and then I'm like, I'm there already responding. Like, I know, like, I'm already thinking, like, you know, the neurons are firing. I'm going, I'm like, all right, well, okay, well, if I think about it this way, like, I see your point, blah, blah. But, like, yeah, it's not the same way.
Yeah, exactly. So she's just like, no, I'm going to take some time to go and relax and sit. And so how do you do that? Like, so if you, because you need time to process the information or whatever the current battle is. So do you sometimes you say you'll push it in the back of your head because it's stressing you the fuck out. So when do you know to bring it back, or and how do you do that? Is it like something you do to try to like soothe yourself and relax, or?
I mean, sometimes honestly, I like to forget about things. So like I'll want to talk about it and I'll be like, okay, I need to remember this, but I'll just completely forget about it and I'll feel fine.
Oh, you'll legit
I'll forget, and then until he brings it up again, and
you're like,
I'm like,
fuck.
oh shit.
And I'm like, hey man,
you'd be like, oh, I actually didn't think about that at all. I'm gonna need another couple of days. Wait, shit.
I need you to talk to me about that.
And you've been over here this whole time just like thinking
all right, so what's going on over there?
Exactly.
Yeah. I didn't know that, like, and I had no idea that I was like an antsy person about that kind of thing, or not antsy, but just like I didn't know that
how much you were like thirsty for the conversation.
Yeah, I didn't know
until
how much
you all
I was.
started dating.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah,
because I'm not gonna lie. I mean, you met me at the time.
Yeah,
I had another girl.
Yeah,
not even close.
That
to the
wasn't
same.
it.
I was like. Nah. I wasn't really having no conversation, nothing like that.
You were not.
I wasn't speaking my mind, that is for sure.
Yeah, baby. Being with someone being with someone in general is challenging, but being with someone that is challenging in and of themselves as well is shows you a lot about yourself.
Yeah.
Teaches you a lot of fucking about yourself.
Yeah, I definitely, because of that, I know that I definitely, you know, like, this relationship definitely means a lot to me. Because, I mean, I've never, you know, acted this way before about even, you know, friendships, I let shit go. Like, I'm not really pressed about having to share my feelings and, like, hey, let's get to the best place we possibly can, because it's that important to me. You know, if some hiccups come along with other relationships in my life, it's like, okay, like, I'll get over it. I don't need to dissect this with you. But
and that's why you never knew you were that way because it never occurred to you before. Like things would go wrong, but you were never trying to sit there and decipher and decode all the intricacies.
I would, but less talking with the other people.
Okay. You just did that all in house, in your mind, but it just never made it out.
I would say so.
To the other person. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of, again, why I say that being with someone is challenging. Because usually when you're alone, you're single, you're doing whatever the fuck you want to do at all points in time. And you don't have someone there just like, hey, why did you do that thing? Hey, I didn't like the way you said, like, what are you doing? No, I don't want to do that right now. Stop trying to make me do, like, you don't have this constant, like, external feedback around you. Because most people's friend groups are not like that. Where, like, they're trying to say, like, hey, man, what the fuck is your problem? Hey, it's not usually that way.
I've realized how forgetful I am.
Oh.
I am extremely forgetful.
So you forget about things that he wants to have conversations about that stress you out.
Yeah.
And you forget about
little things. Like, I'll leave my keys somewhere, or, like, you know, and she'll have to show me, like, dude, like, you are really forgetting shit. Like you are misplacing everything. I'm just like, yeah, I see that. I'm super forgetful. It's pretty bad. And it's weird because I have a really good memory when it comes to, like, history, or, like, I can remember shit that happened, like, years ago and be like, oh yeah, you know, like, I know exactly what happened that night. But when it comes to, like, where the fuck did I put the, you know, like,
short term, like, you can't just, like, reach back into your
no.
I have a question about that. Do you feel like your experience is focused on the things that you're doing at hand at most points in time.
Most definitely.
You do feel that way.
I feel like if I'm doing something, I'm pretty focused on that. Unless I'm working, because then I'm serving and I have to multitask and all that shit.
Trying to figure out why you're forgetting this stuff then. Like if you're there and you're doing it, I wonder like why when the recall happens or when you have to recall, you can't just be like, oh, well, I was doing that thing.
Repeat the question because I may have answered incorrectly.
Well, I'm thinking wherever you're at with your keys or whatever the thing is that's about to be lost.
Am I completely focused on the task at hand as I'm doing it?
Yeah.
Okay, now I see what.
Yeah, see, because I'm trying to figure out, like, if you were...
Hell no. Okay. Hell no, I'm not.
Okay.
Hell no. I am thinking about a million different things.
Okay.
They could be important or not important at all. And I'm there.
Okay.
All over the place. Yeah.
What are you thinking about that has no importance? And do you have any desire or wish to stop those things from being something that just runs through your mind incessantly?
No, I mean, honestly, if I'm like just sitting there kind of thinking or daydreaming, it's usually about some like interesting shit that I'm like, oh, like, that was kind of cool that I heard about, like something to do with like history or something.
Yeah.
Probably.
And what do you do? You recreate like historical events in your mind? Like, do you try to like visualize?
No, I just think about them. Like I don't know. Like I just like. It's kind of hard to explain. I'll just be like, well, like, just think about how the things connect that I've already heard from somebody or, from a video or a book or something like that. And just think about it. I'm like, well, that's very interesting. There's really no like further dialogue with myself. It's just like.
Okay. So it's not further dialogue and you don't visualize.
Oh, I visualize.
Okay. So you do visualize.
Because I like geography too. So like I associate history and geography together. So whenever I'm thinking of like an event, or if I even think of like a geographic area, I'm thinking of like the things that have happened in past history of that geographic area. I'm just like thinking of that,
and you're just in your mind, and then you're fucking dropping your keys off somewhere because you're over in Rome.
Yeah.
Not so much
I'll be like, bro, your wallet, you need to get your wallet. He's like, yeah, I got it. And then we'll be like 10 minutes down the road. He's like, oh.
Or I'm thinking about like, I don't know, just like day-to-day stresses, that too. I think I need to like learn how to not think about the things that are bothering me like all the time because they honestly do, like once they're in my head, they don't really go away.
Okay.
So
once they get there, they get stuck. Yeah. And it's just like a loop. Like you just keep thinking about it.
Somewhat.
That's why I was asking you about like exactly how distressed you get about global events. Because I know that you're tapped in. Like you're clearly
somewhat. I'm like less tapped in than a lot of other people. But I make most of my opinions and inferences off of like if I see something like from mainstream media or anything anywhere else, if it's not obviously like, hey, I need to look out and see if this is actually true. Like if it's obvious that there's no reason to lie, I can believe this and just take it for what it's worth, and be like, okay, like this actually happened. Then I will form my opinion off of what I know has happened in history and take the lessons from that. Like I'm not gonna, sit here and listen to CNN or any other opinions about that shit because it honestly it's very tiring at this point. Like I don't trust it, and I don't like to really tap in too much to like day-to-day politics, but I do like to learn about like China building a hydroelectric dam on in Tibet, on the rivers that flow into India, or and how that is affecting India. Or,
and why is that pertinent? What is that about?
Well, basically, we're seeing a lot of people have been screaming about like global warming or the changing of the environment and all that, and a lot of that stuff is real. Those rivers are very important to the second country with the largest population, or second largest population, and they feed millions of people. Like these things don't happen in an isolated bubble. Like Ukraine and Russia happening. 30% of the world's grain is not being shipped around the world. That is affecting the world that's
Right.
affecting, for us, it's affecting prices, where we haven't noticed it quite as much yet. But, these things that, we are very connected. Like, we live in a global society now. Globalism has taken hold. We are very interconnected. People are not willing to, go to war as much because our economies are tied together. So when things like hydroelectric dams that are, fucking up India happen, like, it has repercussions across the world. Like, they don't expect America to stand by and do nothing. They don't expect, I don't know. Like, they just...
So what's the, I mean, because again, I don't know exactly how hydroelectric dams are fucking up India. But what is the, because I asked you about America mostly, and then you said tribalism is like the thing here mostly that fucks with you on a whatever basis. Maybe it's daily, maybe it's weekly that you think about this thing, and then you're dropping your keys off somewhere because you're thinking about tribalism. Yeah. But so globally, what gets you? Like, what causes most distress about what's going on globally?
Most distress? It would be, honestly, it would probably
possible nuclear war.
No.
Oh, okay.
No. It would more be economic war with China, or pretty much. Because if we went into like an economic war with China, which we already have been in one, and we're in like a cold war right now, it is very scary because they have a lot of leverage over our economic partners. There's this thing called the Belt and Road Initiative, that it's this huge project that they got shit ton of countries to sign up for, to build these mega projects, through their countries to help bring them from, developing countries to developed countries. And there's a lot of shit that goes on with that, but basically you buy into someone's economy and they are now your bitch. They owe you. So they're doing that with countries that have previously been America's bitch. Like, America is also an empire. We do the same thing. We're, in a lot of ways we're no better, but I would much rather be ruled by America than China. And I would also say that is definitely the scariest thing, is like, if a trade war were to go on, China definitely would have leverage over a lot of people that we would traditionally consider our allies, or people who would have our back. That, they would say, okay, well, maybe we won't trade these resources with America. Maybe we will increase our interest rates with America and screw them over, because China kind of has our balls held in a vice. So let's actually do this and not piss them off. That's actually something that's going on, and it will affect, the general populace of America. You won't be able to buy things for the same amount. And maybe if you're getting by right now, you'll be okay. You won't have as much money. But if you're barely scraping by,
you're done.
You won't be scraping by anymore. You're done. And that's what's projected to happen. And, for basically all people who are, at that poverty line all around the world right now are expected to just fail, because it's not looking good for them. It's not looking good.
Yeah, that's again a lot of what I was talking to my friend about the other day, who actually is Congolese. When I told him I listened to that Joe Rogan episode of the guy going and doing all that research in like the East Congo, with all these people mining all this cobalt for all of our rechargeable batteries. So everything for all of our, electric cars and our tablets and our phones and all this sort of stuff. And they're over there mining and flip-flops.
There's a mineral for touchscreen devices that you need for touchscreens to work. And it's mainly found in sub-Saharan Africa.
Yeah.
And it's huge mining operations over there to get all that out,
Yeah, there's and just the videos that they had played on there was just crazy. You see just a sea of people, their children down in there, and again, it was crazy. And then again, the stories of them going down in these mine shafts, and it just mines collapsing, and just tens or hundreds of people just being buried alive. Just trying to mine this it's a wild split screen world.
And it's funny that you say it's like those rechargeable batteries and all that is for electric cars, and then electric cars in particular are marketed as being, you know, like more like it's a better
like
option.
Eco-conscious.
It's eco-conscious. You're, you know, it's more, you're seen as more, you know, righteous if you do that. But it's like, are you? Are you? Because you're not only are you, you know, you're increasing coal consumption too. So okay, so you're not burning the fossil fuel where you're at in your car, but you're definitely making coal consumption go up because they need that for a higher. If everything goes electric, they're gonna the grid and all electricity has to be produced. We don't produce a lot of electricity through nuclear power plants. We don't produce a lot of electricity through clean and reusable means, natural gas and coal. So that's what you're going to be burning. Like you want to, you know, it's not going to switch over the whole, like, let's go completely green. Like it's a fantasy. Like you cannot go completely green. Like without making a shit ton of people suffer right now, and like basically sacrificing all the people who in developing countries like in Africa or Southeast Asia, like you're going to be basically saying, okay, it's at your expense and we're all going to go green. And it's all going to be great for people who aren't even around yet, but
for you all here now,
you're going to get screwed, but don't worry, it's going to be great.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be great
for other people.
Yeah, it's going to be great
later on. But not here though.
But not here though, yeah.
Ever.
No.
Whew. Yeah, no, that fucking sucks. And you remarked upon something, which is the self-righteous part of it. Because that's a lot of people's self-righteous attitudes about things in general, is whenever that conversation comes up in whatever way people are trying to fight the good fight, whatever that fight is, it's usually riddled with hypocrisy and they have no idea about it ever. And it's usually so much of the thing that they're talking about, they're trying to, eliminate is what is fueling what it is that they're doing. Usually, now I'm getting kind of back to America with just hatred and tribalism. Right.
I see a lot of similarities with like the hatred and tribalism that's going on now and how they try to market it of like to be more self-righteous. It's all like they try to market this this message of like compassion, but it's not. It's not compassion, and Nazi Germany did the same thing. Okay, they did the same thing. It all started with like compassion, and it was these speeches about how they're being so compassionate for the German people, and helping the people who got screwed over, the downtrodden, all that kind of stuff. It doesn't turn into that. It's not about that. Like, you guys are power hungry as fuck, and you should see it by now. Like, it is not about helping the downtrodden. Like, you guys are good.
and so that's what you do, is you hear a couple of rumblings out there, whether it be, what do you watch? You watch some mainstream news, and then what else? How do you get information? Like,
so this is kind of embarrassing to admit, I will literally go on YouTube and watch. There's this one channel that I watch a lot, and it just covers the shit like the hydroelectric dams in China and like what is happening with that. And it's called Caspian Report. There's also another one. It's called Atlas News or some shit. I think it's Atlas News. But they just go around, highlight different areas and regions, and be like, okay, what are the geopolitics of this country? What are their adversities? What are their like goals? What do they have to deal with? And what are their traditional challenges? And all that kind of stuff. And they'll go into it, and it just honestly it paints a very clear picture of today's world without getting into specific politics and how you think.
Right.
Like it's not pushing an agenda or anything or making you think a certain way or you should have this opinion about this country now. It's more of just like, this is what's going on, and
do with it what you will.
If you can interpret that, then you know that the world is a very dynamic place, and it's always been like that. Goes back to history,
right? And so that's what I was saying. So you get this from Caspian News and whatever else you may soak up, and then you relate it to a bunch of other shit that you already know from history, and you try to draw parallels.
And I think this guy is like I don't know, like I think he's like some Polish guy that makes these videos and does his research with like a little team that he has, and then they create these videos and put them out. But I think he's Polish. He's definitely Eastern European. But there's just videos like that.
So the most current thing that you see as far as history repeating itself is people being power hungry, no matter what it is they call themselves or what it is they say that their actual flag or their fight is for.
Yeah, it's more or less just to, I mean, there's people at the top who are power hungry. There's the people who are just jumping on this, wave of all these feelings people are having, and they're just jumping on that because either their friends,
all these feelings that
all these opinions and strong feelings that people are having. Like, you either are surrounded by people who are all about that right now, and you may be young and impressionable, so there's those types of people who get it all wrapped up into this, or there's I honestly think that there are some people who just like the fucking anarchy and drama and just like they just like to, I think there's certain people who definitely like to be the out group. You know what I mean? Like, and if they start to be accepted, it's like they don't want to be. That's what they pushed for.
You find something else to fight against.
Yeah.
I think that too. When you don't, man, there's always something to complain about. So like you can always find something, but there's, you have your physical energy, right? That your body can just uphold and work with on a daily basis. You have your mental energy, your emotional energy, and you have time. And so to be using your time complaining about a bunch of shit or trying to just like find the next thing to fight someone about is beyond me. That's beyond me.
I've gotten to that point.
There's so much to do out here. So to find yourself in this hole where you just do this thing, that's a hell.
And that goes back to like the whole like complaining about America thing. Like when I was younger, and I think everybody kind of went through this phase where they start to wake up and like lose their patriotism and start to realize that America is a country that takes advantage of people and all this other shit.
I don't think that's something that everyone goes through.
I think there's a lot of people who go through that. And nowadays it's very popular to go through that. Even if you don't really know what you're finding out or what the intricacies of it, like it's very popular to hate on America nowadays. I would say. And there's a lot of reasons to do it. But I got to a point where I was like I see a bunch of other, countries and how they do things. We are no different. We're not that special. We're not uniquely evil than everyone else. And there's a lot of reasons for things that we do. I don't agree with everything, but I can see that I'm not going to be able to live in a perfect country. I'm not going to be able to make this place a utopia, and nobody else is either. So let's be thankful for the shit that we have. I don't, like I said before, I don't like China. I would hate to live in fucking China. I would much rather live with the bullshit that I deal with in America. Little bullshit that I deal with. I don't really deal with that much. There's shit that, I probably don't even know I'm getting taken advantage of, and I have no idea. But
what is the particular things about China? Like, what are the particular things about China that you really do not like? Aside from, like you said,
the CCP. That's it.
Okay.
The people of China, great. The culture of China, great. Chinese food, great. CCP, bro. They're literally as close as you can get to like inhuman monsters, and I hate to put that kind of label on shit, because I'm not even the type of person to be like, oh, Putin's a madman or anything like that. Like, he has his reasons for doing shit. But how things have been in China since the 1950s is just, it's a communist state, and it's not cool. If you're not a religious person, I think there's a lot of people who would still agree that freedom of religion is good. They don't have that. There's a bunch of things they do not see their people as, to be protected. They see them as cattle, and it's very So, like, the recent protests in China are started because of a lot of different reasons. But there's one main reason is because of the no COVID or zero COVID policies that they had. And they were literally welding people's apartment doors shut.
Yeah.
And chaining them up and shit like that. And there was this really famous, like, it got a lot of traction really fast before the government tried to shut it down. But there was this video of an apartment building on fire. And there was this woman inside screaming, saying, help us, open the door, save us. They all died, obviously, because,
that's saving.
You guys have COVID. We're not going to open that shit up. Yeah. Burn to death, whatever. And the Chinese government, basically, instead of like if something like that in America happened, the federal government would start investigating the local government and go, okay, like what happened here? Like why did people die like that? What could we have done differently? There it's like, no. You're saying that the zero COVID policy caused unnecessary death and that was a stupid idea? Well, you're saying that one of the CCP's ideas are stupid. Okay, you're going to be disappeared now.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. There was this book I read called Talking to Strangers by Malcolm Gladwell, and he spoke about this thing called the Power Dynamic Index in different countries. And this pretty much just speaks on, depending upon what culture you grow up in or what country, there's a certain level of deference or respect that you have for the higher ups, the aristocrats, or the whatever the fuck the titles would be of someone that has more of a stature than you do, more of a status. And here in America, the power dynamic index is very low. I mean, we don't give a fuck who you are. Like, we're gonna talk to you however the fuck we feel like talking to you. And if we feel like you're making a bad decision or we don't agree with you, we're gonna be like, hey, what the fuck is going on over there? And then there are other places where that's just not. It's just not a thing. And the way they spoke about it was, there was this airline called, it was either Korean, I think it was called Korean Airlines at first, and then it became Korean Air. And it was some point, I think it may have been in the 80s, where their planes they were crashing a lot. They were crashing a lot of planes, and a lot of people were dying. And they were trying to figure out what the fuck is going on in this airline that so many people are dying. Like, why do they keep crashing these planes? And it turned out that a huge part of it is, so you have your pilot and your co-pilot, and it's a co-pilot's job to call shit out when they see that there's an issue. Hey, listen, guy, there's a cloud. We shouldn't go over there. It's foggy. Let's go back this way. Hey, man.
Let me guess. They were discouraged from doing that.
They were discouraged from doing those things. And that's in a lot of different cultures. It's not just Korea, but a lot of different cultures where you are not to speak to someone that is above you in a certain way. Like, you're just not. So in Spanish, right, like you have your tú en usted form. In a lot of these other cultures, you have like 6 of those.
What?
Where it just gets higher and higher depending upon just how high up in the status you are. And in certain places, if you're at a table with a general or a fucking king or whoever, if you pick up a glass of drink, you have to like turn around to like take a sip of water or whatever the drink is so that they can't see you. It's just a thing of respect. And there's so many things just like that. And people were just dying on these airplanes because they just couldn't bring themselves to say, hey, man, we shouldn't do this. Yeah. That's a bad idea. I'm taking over. You couldn't do that. So what they ended up having to do is bring in an American guy, and they had to teach English and say English is now going to be the language of the skies. Because when you speak English,
all air traffic controllers speak English around the world.
The message gets straight to you immediately.
Yeah.
The most respect we're going to do is be like, please, thank you, right? But they're not all these different things.
There's
all these
different interpretation of a different sort. It's exactly what you mean.
It's exactly what I mean. I'm going to say that thing. They're not all these different layers of respect that you have to try to decipher and see through and figure out what it is I'm really saying. Doesn't happen. And so I say all that to say that there are a lot of issues that all cultures have. And the second we start thinking that we don't have them, but other cultures do, that's where a lot more of that fissure and that divide continues to happen. So,
I can also admit that I'm speaking on, the Chinese government's policies as an American who, has my own point of view of like, I like to do whatever the fuck I want, and all
and you want people to have freedom of religion.
And I want all these people to have freedom of religion, all that. But there are definitely countries where the majority of the populace would be like, go fuck yourself with your American, qualities and your and like all of your beliefs, because we don't need that. We want a more traditional, based life. Like the Taliban, they love their way of life. That is all they want. Like, they are not interested in being richer. They are not interested in getting out of, what we would consider poverty. Like, they are living rich in their minds. The people in China oftentimes love a lot of the things that their, government does, because they say, well, we do trust our government, number one, and there's not indecisiveness. Like, it's trusted into the hands of people who know best, and there's not this bureaucracy that slows us down. We're efficient. Like, this is the way to do things. And, you talk to older people in Eastern Europe, and there are still people who will remember Stalin with fondness because things were so organized. Things were, great things were happening, great projects, economic booms, all this shit. But, I mean, at the same time, you talk to somebody else, and they're like, that shit sucked. I was starving to death. I was in a death camp. Like, it wasn't good.
Yeah.
And then you have all these other people who are like, no, that shit was great. And both are true. Both are very true. Like, you cannot, discredit, I guess, good aspects of something you don't understand. Because I cannot say that I understand communism. And if I were to experience it, I think I would still have the same opinion. I don't think I would like it.
Yeah.
But there are people who eat that shit up.
They really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Well, Cindy, what do you do with your time? Because it's none of this stuff.
No.
Yeah.
I just tune in a little bit. I mean.
But forget about it. Like, what are you focused on? Because it's none of this.
Honestly, just surviving, going to work. I don't really have that many hobbies, so I try to, meet people. Like, I meet people online all the time. I've made so many friends through Twitter, Instagram, and, I hang out with them. But other than that, I just kind of focus on myself and my family. And
she's being humble.
Going to work.
Why do you say that?
She's emotionally intelligent. She focuses on feelings and how people interpret shit and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's a little bit
deeper, she can get into that. Yeah, very much so. But
I'm really like in tune with like reading the room, like
she likes to analyze things too, just different things
and how they think about things.
What have you analyzed about this room?
Huh?
What? I did not know you were going to ask me that question. No, that's fine if you don't have an answer for that. I'm half fucking with you, but if you did have an answer, it would be interesting to know.
I mean, I haven't really, I let Will do his thing. I let him spew out his information. I mean, I like when he talks to me about it, yeah. Like, I'll tune into some things that I care about, but, usually it's me just in my own little world.
Yeah. So what do you do on Twitter? Like, what is your thing? What do you like to look at? What do you like to engage with?
It really just depends on a whole bunch of, like, different things. There's videos on, like, history and, like, stuff that's going around the world, just people posting pictures. It really just depends on what part of Twitter you're on.
I think that's where a lot of her socialization comes from. Where, like, you get a lot of your socializing done through, like, meeting, people through Twitter, meeting personalities, getting to know people, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Definitely.
Who's some of the more interesting people you've met? I'm trying to figure out, even when
you've definitely met some interesting ones.
Yeah, because even when it comes to people, and if you have this emotional intelligence that he's saying that you do, I'm trying to figure out, like, what is it that you're drawn to as far as people go?
Well, I'm not really, like, on social media where I try to, like, dive into people's feelings and stuff. Like, when I meet people in person, and when I meet people at work, or if I link up with somebody that I met from Twitter, then I want to really get into that, like get into deeper conversations and like know what their life is like and what they've been through, and I like talking about what I've been through. You know, I like, you know, combining each other's
You got
lives
little
and
therapy
stuff.
groups going on.
Yeah,
Huh.
definitely.
What's that like? Where does that come from? Like, is that like, why do you enjoy doing that? Is that something that?
I don't know, because like growing up, I didn't really have that many friends, so I like having people feel like they have someone there. You know, like I like having people feel special, or you know, like having them feel things that they've never felt before. Basically, I like making people happy, smile, especially when I go to work. When I like talk to new employees, or you know, when I'm just hanging out with people, I like to make sure that everyone is like okay, like comfortable, and you know, having a good time.
Yeah.
Because like I know what it feels like not to be like included into things, or you know, stuff like that. So that's what I mainly try to do when it comes to other
You don't
people.
want people feeling lonely or feeling like outcasts or feeling
definitely.
no
I
one
want
wants.
people to feel included and feel loved. You know.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about getting into any sort of social work?
Yeah, I actually have, but like I just don't have the motivation right now. Like, but I've always like looked into like what is the word? Psychology and you know how people think.
Yeah. She'd be good at that.
And
She'd definitely be good at
therapy and all that stuff. But yeah, I'm definitely interested in that kind of stuff.
You find yourself being more of a listener than a speaker?
Definitely.
Yeah.
When I do have stuff to say, I do, but usually I like to like listen and you know how people feel.
Do you journal? Do you write?
I used to try to, but it's mainly like listening, and then just when I have something valuable to say, then I'll say it. And if I don't, then I'm just in my head like thinking about other things, you know. Yeah.
I think that's admirable. I don't think that there's enough empty speech out here. There's enough people just speaking just for the sake of speaking. Yeah. That's someone said that to me the other day. They were like, you know, Earl, you have this thing where when you speak, it seems like people listen to you. And I told him that one of the best ways that I'd heard this expressed was through a book by Jordan B. Peterson. I think you might be.
I do know Jordan B. Peterson.
I thought you about to call him like JP. I thought you was about to give him a nickname or something. Yeah,
I know JB. Yeah, I know JBP. Yeah, that's my boy.
But it was that he was watching his granddaughter, I think, grow up, maybe like year 1 or 2. And he was like, how fascinating is it to watch a young baby learn the power of an index finger? And you're already on the edge of your seat, like, what the fuck is he talking about? He's like, when they learn that all they have to do is take this little finger and start pointing it at stuff.
I saw that interview.
And then magically, these adults go over and pick the thing up and bring it over there to them.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh shit, like I can just start ordering things like this. Like, oh, that's awesome. So then you just start using your finger to get stuff.
Yeah.
But then the baby also quickly realizes that it only has but so many of those it can use. Mm-hmm. But because the adult's not just going to pick everything up all day long and bring it to you.
Right.
And he was likening it to people and their speech and saying, you don't want to be one of these people out here that will just say anything at any point in time all day long. Just empty words all day long. It's much better to harness your speech and make your words count.
Yeah.
Right? Use your words wisely, have precision of speech, speak when you have something to say. You don't need to do too much more than that.
When something is considered rare, it's considered more valuable.
Yes.
You know, if you speak all the time, you know, you're always saying something. Number one, you're going to be incorrect a lot more because you're speaking a lot more. People notice that kind of shit, and you are less valid now, you know, because you obviously make mistakes. Now, if you don't speak that much, and when you speak, it is very important. It hits home, and you choose, you know, when and what to say very wisely. Like, yeah, people are definitely gonna be like, okay, like,
what's he saying? He never.
There's some weight that comes along when this person speaks. Not, you know, it's not just arbitrary speech, like you were saying.
And I've come across some people, and it's been truly. First, I think I'm hit with it because I call these people like cartoons. Like I'll see like a human being, and they'll just like they'll say anything. Like it doesn't matter. Like I'm thinking of someone specific in my mind right now, but I would see this guy, and every time I see him, he was talking. It seemed he clearly wanted. You would. I know this. You might have, but you would have. But you might be thinking of someone else. But you might have liked to be around him because I could imagine you maybe wanting this person to feel wanted or to feel seen, because something tells me that it came from a place of them feeling undervalued. Yeah. So they wanted to constantly try to tell jokes and perform for people. Yeah. Exactly. And you knew it came from a sadder place.
Yeah.
Would talk all the time, just vapid speech. None of it ever meant anything. It didn't matter. No one really cared. You'd laugh every now and again, but for the most part, wasn't even that funny. So it was just a lot of clownish, characteristics and performance all the time. And it just got to a point where me and some people, it's so bad because they would start talking and you would immediately like tune them out.
Yeah.
Like, you just be like, oh, whatever they're saying doesn't matter. And, like, how terrible is that?
You can't take them seriously.
How terrible is that? Because that can't be true. Like, something that they say is going to matter.
That's a lonely place.
Yeah.
That is a lonely place.
That's a super lonely place for you to almost talk, and it's like the sound goes into a void.
Yeah.
Like, there's clearly 15 people ahead of you, but no one hears it. Mm-hmm. Because you've spoken so much, so flippantly. No one gives a shit. Like, they have learned to tune you out. Yeah. They just switch the frequency. Like, they just turn the dial. And you're now like mute to them.
Yeah.
That's a tough place to be in. So, I applaud you on just wanting to speak when you feel like you have something to speak about, and feeling like if you don't, it's like, fine, I'll just think about it. Or I'll just listen to the person.
She's very comfortable just being quiet and observing for however long it may take. Like, if there's not something that she needs to say in a social scenario or place, then she's not going to say anything she doesn't need to.
Contrary to maybe popular belief, maybe, I don't know, because I do a podcast, I'm the same way. Like, because for people that listen to this, they may feel like, if they don't know me, that I'm just constantly talking if I'm in a social situation. But I'll most certainly just sit back and just listen. Because that's where a lot of my thoughts, come from, is me just sitting back and observing how people speak to one another and trying to read between the lines of what it is they're saying, reading the words that they are saying, the things that they're not saying to each other, picking up on those emotional, body language cues and the tonal changes and things like that. And I'll just sit back, and I love listening. Yeah, I love listening to people speak, because as you said before, either way it goes, you're learning something. I mean, if you're observing enough, but like, you're gonna learn something. So I just sit back and I learn. Yeah, I fucking love doing that. That's one reason. Now, to finally answer your question that you had asked me before we even press record, that's one reason why I started doing this. Mostly it was for therapy. I tell people this all the time. I've said it on this pod a bunch of times. I was bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and there was a gleam in my eye, and I tried to come to my family and tell them we should all do therapy, actually thinking that was something that it was going to work out. Yeah. That did not. I got laughed out of that room. It did not work out very well. And so soon after that, I had gotten propositioned by my friend that I started this with to do the podcast. He was like, man, I feel like we should do a podcast, man. Like, it would be cool. And for me, I think him and I had started it for different reasons. I think he had just wanted to have conversations and just put it out. I was using it as a way to get these fucking ideas in my mind outward. And so it ended up taking on a form of therapy for me. And so when you said I was cranking them out, this will be episode 152.
Holy shit. Damn. I did not know you were cranking them out like that.
152. I put them out once a week. There have been some weeks where I'll put out like 2 a week, and I've only missed 2 weeks, I believe, in the past. It'll be 3 years coming up this May. I've only missed 2 weeks. One of them, somebody called out of like a session we were supposed to have. Like actually, they didn't even call out. They just didn't show up.
Damn.
Like an asshole that they were. Yo, what up?
Good.
And then the other one was like technical difficulties. We were trying to get this in-home setup for the first time, because before I was doing it through Zoom.
Oh,
it started on phone calls.
Oh gosh,
It was me and my friend were just doing phone calls, and we were using like our regular Apple earbuds.
I think I saw one.
They were terrible.
Yeah.
They were so bad. And then it went to Zoom, and then I finally got all this
Zoom's
stuff together.
Zoom's a bitch to use.
Yeah, Zoom isn't.
Zoom is a bitch.
It's not fun. I mean, come on. Wi-Fi go out for a second, it's a wrap.
Yeah. No, you're completely done.
Yeah,
it's all done.
You might as well just shut it down. Like stuff starts good. The video starts getting choppy. The audio starts getting choppy. It's crazy.
No, I'm glad you started to use like an audio, like an
interface.
DAW or digital audio workstation.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Go ahead. Let us know.
I got you with the the acronyms and shit.
That's very nice. Yeah. No, I am too. And again, once you buy this thing once, that's it. Like I have the equipment, and I can just sit here and do this as many times as I want. So it was an awesome investment, and I enjoy doing this. Is there anything at all that we feel like we need to get to? Is there anything at all on yours minds, it's particularly yours probably, that needs to get to the people?
Be good to people. I don't know.
Be good. I mean, that's nice. Be good to people is not bad.
Yeah.
That I'll tell you what. I'm looking at this.
I would say having the conversation with people that you disagree with more, and actually engage in that conversation. Don't just start the conversation so you can disprove them. Try to start conversations with people that you know you're going to disagree with, and try to see where they're coming from just a little bit.
Cindy, is there anything on your mind at all? I was going to say, I was looking at this note. I have it here. It says, now this person, clearly English is their second language, which is why I'm going to read it like this.
Okay.
But, Merry Christmas to the best boss ever. Thank you for all your support, and be there always. I'm very grateful for working a person like you. Thanks for the big opportunity you give me and believing on me every day.
That's so sweet.
Wow. I know exactly what they meant.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I was at work, because you just said be nice to people, be good to people. And so I just looked down and I thought about that. I was at work, and I was just eating a salad downstairs in the cafeteria, having a good old time. And I get a text message. It's like, yo, you have to come upstairs right now. I have like a little thread with a bunch of them. They were like, you got to come upstairs right now. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And I go up there, and I go in our private dining room, and there's 4 of them there. And these people don't even work for the company. Like this is through a temp agency, and they were just standing there with like four gifts wrapped for me.
Aww.
And boy, did they catch me all off guard. Had no idea at all that was going to happen. And one of them made a joke and was like, don't cry. Little did he know that's exactly what was about to happen. And I just started weeping.
So sweet.
Absolutely just started weeping. Because I was like, wow, what a fucking nice gesture from people that, again, are not even actually employees there.
Yeah.
How fucking cool is that? So, yeah, I think it goes a long way to just be kind to people.
Yes, it does.
Really.
I think it goes a super long way. Thank you guys for coming here. This is awesome.
Yeah, this was.
I appreciate
Glad
you guys.
I came.
How's that pen hitting?
It's hitting good. It's been hitting good. Yeah.
What flavor is it?
Is this
The
gummy bear ice? It was her choice.
Gummy bear ice. That's crazy. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for listening. Episode 152. Moving along.